call this regular meeting of the Village of Villa Park Planning and Zoning Commission to order. And we're going to start with roll call. I'm the one that's not ready. Okay. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Orlowski?
Here.
Jarrett?
Here.
Mr. Hassler? Here. Thank you.
Bello.
Bello, here. Thank you. See, like I said, I wasn't all the way ready. I didn't make all my notes. Thank you. So we have a quorum. Approval of minutes from September 8th, 2016.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes of September 8th, 2016.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or questions on the motion? Hearing none. Or let's just, do we do that by vote or do we?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it by vote.
Yes.
Mr. Orlowski?
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, okay. So we, that passes. All right. Any public hearings that were held between, now I guess, did we change that order a little bit? See, public hearings is up here. Okay. Public hearings for this evening are petition PZ 160005. That's the first one for tonight. Variance from required exterior side yard from 20 feet to 9.1 feet for property located at 1020 South Cornell Street. Michael Yule's petitioner are you here this evening? Okay, Mr. Yule. So why don't you come up? And what we'll do is we're going to have you sworn in. Once you're sworn in, you can state your name and address for the record, and then you can proceed with introducing us to your petition tonight. Okay?
Okay. My name is Michael Yulee, and I'm at 1020 South Cornell, Villa Park. And I'm on a double corner lot, and I was looking to put up a standalone garage on my side yard. Due to the fact my existing garage, it's a Cape Cod breezeway garage, and the breezeway goes into the garage about 2 feet. That's how I bought the property. And the property line slants severely, so the garage in the back starts out flat and then it angles, so I lose about 5 feet in the garage due to the property line, and I'm about 18 inches off the property line with the existing garage, which wouldn't be feasible really to try to do anything with that garage. So my purpose was to build a standalone garage, take the existing garage, take the overhead door out, put in frame it in with the matching siding, and put a steel entry door in, making it basically storage. And I don't have a basement, and storage is kind of key, and I can't park in there. There's really not much room to park, and that would kind of help me out with parking, storage, etc.
Okay. Which were you going to make into storage? The new garage?
The old garage.
The old garage.
The old garage.
I think you're...
That overhead door would come down, and it would be framed in to have basically just a 36-inch steel door put in.
Is your thinking changed since the petition? Because the staff report says that you were wanting to turn the existing garage into a living space.
No.
Okay. And I think we'll get to staff input. In a
Yeah.
minute, so.
I mean, the breezeway goes into there 2 feet, which you wouldn't know in the house.
Okay.
It's finished real nice, but when you open the door, you're like, whoa. You know, it's in there.
Okay.
But as far as any more living space, no. It's going to stay basically like a shed type storage.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that you want to add at this point?
I think that's about it.
Okay, and we'll be back to you, I'm sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So let's move on to staff input.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. This is a request for a variation to place a detached garage on the north side of the property within the required side yard setback along Cornell. The required setback along Cornell is a minimum of 20 feet. The odd shape of this lot and how it narrows from south to north creates a situation where there's just not a lot of space on that end of the property and would require a variation to be located in the location where the petitioner wishes to have it. The reference in the staff report to livable space was a little bit of a leap from staff. It's just that it cannot stay a garage because you're not allowed to have both a detached and an attached garage. So that was a little bit of a leap from staff in that analysis. There are a number of lots on Cornell, particularly between Harrison and the Jackson. Because of the curvilinear nature of Cornell, it just creates a lot of odd intersections with the east-west streets in that particular area. And there are a number of nonconformities and variances that have been granted in this particular area. Outside of that, staff really doesn't have any additional comments to offer, but I certainly would be happy to answer any questions that the Planning and Zoning Commission might have.
Okay, thank you. All right, we move to public participation and questions. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak in regards to this petition? And I see no one, and no one's raising their hand, so we're going to move on to questions from commission members. So, any commission members with questions?
I guess just one. Because you have an alley in the back way here. Is there a reason you're not going to use that to access the new garage?
The alley?
So it's a 20-foot public alley?
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
it's
say,
not
yeah,
improved?
It's not paved, no.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I know there's a couple alleys.
Yeah, I'm
in
using
there.
the existing driveway.
I see that. I see that. Okay.
So that way, yeah.
No, that answers my question. It's not improved. I know there's some like that that just kind of grassed in.
Do we run into any kind of concern for impervious, additional impervious area? No. Okay.
I got a question for staff. The old garage, once the new garage would be constructed, what would the old garage be considered as part of the residence? I mean, you can't call it a shed.
No, but you certainly would be allowed to use it as storage. There would be no prohibition in that regard.
Because I know the back corner of that is less than 2 feet from the property line.
Yes.
And that would be the problem that I would have is you shouldn't, I mean, no living, I mean, eventually, somewhere along the line, I'm sure this is gonna get tied up to where it's gonna be a living space. And then whenever it's living space, now you're 2 feet, less than 2 feet from the property line, which is actually a driveway on the other side.
With the breezeway as it goes into there now, how I purchased it, remember the back wall slants. So if you were needing to extend in further, it keeps slanting.
No, I understand, I actually went by the property
But
today.
yeah,
So that would be one thing that I would be concerned about, in not where it ends up in the future, as far as what that would be considered as far as the residence.
But in terms of the way staff would look at it, if you have an attached garage, the garage is part of the principal structure and has to meet all of the various setbacks that are pertinent to a principal structure. The fact that you convert it from a garage to living space doesn't have any impact on the principal structure, and it would still exist as a legal nonconforming because of that setback.
Right.
Right, and it's not increasing the extent of the
Okay.
nonconformity.
Right.
Okay.
And building it out would require building permits and such,
Correct.
correct?
Right.
Building it out as even storage?
There would be no particular requirement for build-out if it was just going to be maintained as storage.
Right. I mean, probably not gonna do plumbing, electrical.
So then technically it's still a garage. If it's not converted into habitable space as an attachment to the house, then it's a garage
Or is
Uh,
it, or is it
or an accessory
or is it
use.
unconditioned back porch, like on my house?
I guess that's part of what the problem that I first had with it is that, or I thought it being converted to a living room meant that there was going to be a building permit for converting that into habitable space, which meant that, you know, it'd have to meet building code for habitable space. Hearing that it's just going to be storage, sounds like it's not going to be habitable space, so it's really technically like a shed or a garage.
Are the interior walls drywall of the garage?
The only thing that's drywalled is where the breezeway comes in.
Yeah.
They drywalled it because of the insulation factor
Right.
for inside the house, but the rest of the garage is all
I thought all
is that
garages,
drywall.
I thought all attached within so many feet had to be drywall.
Just the-
Now-
Yes, in
not.
later codes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And when this, well, right, and who knows, this could have been originally a detached, and someone built a breezeway and attached the detached.
I'm sure someone extended it into the garage.
Yeah, so that's why it brings up all these questions about the construction. I'm talking about construction type when we're really supposed to be looking at zoning, but because we're also looking at, we don't allow two garages, that's where I get,
There's the,
Well, and that's why
condition number 3.
the petitioner is going to be removing the garage door off of the attached
Yeah.
garage.
and removing driveway is what we're
And
recommending.
removing a
the
portion of the
blacktop.
driveway, so you would not be able to use it as a garage. Now, certainly there are a lot of garages in town that are used solely for storage.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that's true.
Not as garages.
So, but the idea then is to turn at a 90 degree and the garage door would come off the existing driveway, the curb cut would remain the same,
Yes,
pull into the driveway and then make a 90 degree turn
correct.
to get into the garage.
The apron would come into the existing asphalt garage and it'd be concrete, putting up to that.
The other question I was going to ask staff is where's the rear yard and the rear yard setback on this property?
There isn't one.
Well, no, there always is one.
Always has to be a rear yard setback.
It would be, staff would consider the north part of the property to be the rear yard. And detached garages are allowed to be within 5 feet of a side or rear lot line.
Great, that's what I was looking for. Okay, great. Okay. Other questions? I think for this one, since it's such a small one and we have the homeowner here, and there doesn't seem to be any public that wants to speak on it, I'm going to jump into comments. I think for me, as a concept, having this become a detached garage and doing some conversion and work on the existing attached garage. I'm okay with that, but I can't make a decision tonight based on the drawing that we have. We have an irregular shaped lot. We have a drawing not to scale, showing the new proposed garage and everything else. And so I would like to see a drawing prepared that really reflects what your intent is. And let me just give you some background on that. There have been multiple times where people have come in and said, I'm going to do this, and presented to us. And then it all gets done, and we go look at it, and we go, yeah, that's not what we talked about. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen in this case, but for me to feel like I'm doing my job for everyone in the village, I need to see more information and say, yep, that is a diagram that I can agree with. I see what you're going to do with that existing garage, how you're going to put doors in it. I understand that you can make the turn to get into your garage door, and I can see graphically that new proposed garage, and it's set back on all those corners, right, because it's going to be at an angle. So that's, I guess so I'm saying conceptually, I don't disagree that you have an irregular shaped lot, and that existing garage is way too tiny, and even if you were to add on to it, it's got problems with setback, as been pointed out, and proximity to lot line. So I don't have any, and it seems like it's, it's within, but the existing lot gives you a hardship. I just need to see more in terms of a drawing that says, this is what I'm going to do. So I can say, okay, I can get behind that. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's not from I just couldn't vote positively for it tonight based on the information I've gotten, because I don't know where all those corners are going to be. So I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but
I'm in agreement.
I kind of am too. This is obviously going to be a one-car garage that you want to
No.
build, or a two-car garage?
two.
And it currently has a two-car garage, if my memory serves right.
Yeah, kind of. But he's
Right.
saying the breezeway comes into that space, and
And it's
in the back wall slants. Yeah.
I mean, it's not even 16 feet long.
Yeah.
I know.
No, right, and I think we're convinced that that's not really a garage.
We're all kind of in agreement that your lot is in an unfortunate shape.
Yep. Or posing a hardship
Correct.
based on the other properties in your neighborhood.
Mhm.
Right. Because of its shape.
Mhm.
Not, you didn't impose that on yourself, it's just the reality of that. And then whoever let the house be built that close to the lot line a long time ago, we're not talking about that right now, but that's another set of situations we can't do anything about. You certainly didn't do that.
That close
So-
to the lot line and at that particular angle.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. But from our perspective, to move this forward to the board, because we make a recommendation, we operate on drawings and exhibits, and we say, yes, based on this exhibit and this drawing, and someone's stamp that's a design professional, yeah, we agree with that, that's what's going to be built, we can make that recommendation. When we don't have that for a drawing, there's an onus on all of us then to go, well, I think I know what this is going to be, and we just need to get more. So so I think I wanted, and so conceptually, the rest of you, if assuming that the setbacks and the dimensions that the petitioner has indicated on this exhibit can be met with a real drawing, and that shows us all this.
The distances.
Yeah, would you be generally in favor if you had a document in front of you that, right, so I think what you're hearing is consensus is that we would make a recommendation to accept this to the board, and the board ultimately decides. We don't decide, we make a recommendation. But I think it sounds like it'd be pretty much unanimous that we would recommend it. We just need more of a drawing. So you can hire, and staff can maybe help you, give you a few names, but you're going to have to eventually get a building permit anyway, and part of that building permit is you're going to have to do some civil engineering at least to show what's going to happen with stormwater when you build this building, and that would be enough of a drawing for us, is to see from a civil engineer's drawing, here's the garage to scale, how it relates to the property lines, and maybe he only does some preliminary thinking about how he's going to make water work on your site. Zoning doesn't have to have that, but eventually building is going to need that. So I'm saying it's not a waste of money. I'm sorry?
There is a storm sewer that someone put in.
Yeah.
It's kind of between two properties,
Yeah.
sort of right there. So that would help too, as far as if the swale is cut properly.
Yep.
And right now it isn't, because I have a little lake with ducks in there when it rains. And it's nice they got the storm sewer, but all
Yeah.
the water's getting over
So,
there.
and I know that that's dollars expended, so I guess I want you to feel like from this perspective of this board here, there seems to be consensus that we would recommend, but we need more. So we're saying, go ahead and make that investment. We don't think it's a lost cause. And then we would make a recommendation to the board, and the board can either accept, reject, or deny. But if you have unanimous from the planning and zoning, and I can't tell you that for sure the board's going to approve it, but I would think they would consider it favorably based on our recommendation. And they're going to want that information as well. They're going to want to see, okay, there's a drawing, everybody did their work. It's ready to go for us, we can give it approval, okay? All right. So with that, unless there's other objection or discussion, I think we need to have a motion to continue.
Is a month enough time?
Sure. If it's getting into the winter, if it gets approved, it might even be almost too late then to start this year, because of the weather situation.
Yeah, and I understand, and we have,
But yeah, anyway.
You can make a motion for a date on
yeah, I think that's, at this point, I don't think, let's do it for if you get it in time and we can get it on the, planning and zoning staff will get it on our calendar as soon as you get them the information, so, but I think for now, don't put a date certain in, because then we would have to change that or not.
We would just continue it again.
We just
We
continue to,
Continue it again.
Right.
so do we want to do it for a date certain next month and then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And that would
So
be-
any other discussion, everybody? Am I?
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
we agree.
Okay, all right, I don't want to be pushing something everybody doesn't agree with. Okay,
I will make a motion to continue petition PZ 160005 to a date certain of November 10th, 2016.
I'll second that.
second, any questions or comments on that motion as read? Hearing none by roll call, Commissioner Bello,
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jarrett,
Yes.
Commissioner Orlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
With this, we've continued, so, and again, if you're not able to make this next month, we'll continue to the following month. I'm confident that you'll be able to come back to us. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your understanding. Okay, so we're going to go back to our overall meeting agenda here and go back to the next hearing for this evening, which is petition PZ 160007, conditional use for drive-up window on the Jewel Osco property at 33 East St. Charles Road. Ken Kale is petitioner. Did I get that right? Kaylee, sorry, petitioner. So please step up here. It's the same situation that you heard with the gentleman previously. I'm going to have you sworn in, and probably both of you sworn in here. Once you're sworn in, state your name and address for the record, and then you can proceed with your presentation. Okay.
Hi, I'm Ken Cayley, Catalyst Exhibits, 7809 100th Street, Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin.
Go ahead. Floor is
Okay.
yours.
All right. What we'd like to do is TCF Bank has hired me to build a ATM pavilion that goes on the property directly across the street in the Jewel Osco parking lot. It is going to be along St. Charles Road. This ATM, a little bit different than a lot of typical ATMs. This is a full-service ATM that has, meaning it takes, you can withdraw as well as customers can make their own deposits. So it is a It's a pavilion that we've done in many of the Jewel Osco parking lot locations. Elka has just given you a few of the day and night pictures that we've done. These were all done late last year. This has it's LED lit canopy. The structure is all aluminum or steel. The cameras, there are cameras located inside of the ATM as well as on the canopy for approach. The ATM is also armed. It has 5-function alarm system. It detects vibration, heat, any jarring of the doors, and again, all of the cameras it will take pictures as anything were to happen. The alarms are all monitored by TCF Bank as well as central monitoring systems. They have the bank is serviced, or the ATMs are all serviced by Armored Car, so there's no bringing cassettes out of cash, so there's no vulnerability there. We would directional bore under the concrete, under the asphalt surface, direct to the bank. There is currently a bank inside of there, and the bank inside of the Jewel Osco, and the intention is for that bank to remain. This adds just a little bit more serviceability for TCF and their clients. We have in our package there, we have stamp drawings, and I'm sorry they're so large, I could have made them smaller. The architect has stamped the drawings. They've done their due diligence in traffic patterns. The parking lot will be striped with directional signage, wayfinding signage. That's all I had. I ran out. And then I also have structural engineering. We have stamp drawings from the giving all of the different properties that we use to make this structure itself.
All right. Anything else, or we'll ask you some questions. You'll be back. Thank
Okay.
you. We'll go to staff input.
Yes, this is a request for an ATM drive-up building within the parking lot at Jewel. It's much the same as a request last year for the North Park Plaza along Addison Road. The only real concern that staff has is how the function of the parking lot is going to be impacted by this ATM. Unfortunately, we don't have the results of a traffic study that can tell us exactly what sort of impact that is going to have.
Was one requested?
We have requested it, yes.
Okay.
There was a miscommunication with the engineering department because there was another traffic study being done for the car wash, and there was some miscommunication between the traffic study for that site and traffic study for this site.
Okay.
But we feel that it's necessary to have the information before making a full recommendation. Of particular concern is whether or not the queuing space would impact the parking spaces to the east on the other side of the sign, and then what sort of issue might be had by the cars exiting the ATM right there by the ingress and egress to St. Charles Road.
It's really close to the curb cut.
So those are going to be two particular issues that staff is going to want to address and have an answer on before we could fully support it. On a conceptual level, staff doesn't have a problem with the location of this out along St. Charles Road. Everyone wants convenience these days, and this is a situation where if somebody solely were only wanting to get some cash out of their bank, instead of having to run inside the Jewel, they could just stay inside their car, use the ATM, and be off. So from a conceptual standpoint, staff doesn't have an issue with the proposed conditional use, but we're just concerned of what sort of impact that might have on the parking area.
Okay,
And with that, if the commission has any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
thank you. We're going to move into public participation and questions. See if there's any members of the public here that want to speak on this petition. And I see no one that wants to speak on it. So I want to move into questions from commission and see if there's any other issues other than what Mr. Grill brought up about the traffic study.
Yeah, that parking lot is, the aisles aren't really, towards the back, the aisles aren't really that well defined. And cars kind of go through there, crisscross around it, and I don't know if that's anything we can address now with this.
Yeah, so you're sort of reinforcing the need for the traffic study.
Correct.
Just because of
Correct.
having an expert out there to see how people use the parking lot and make recommendations to us, much like they did for the recent car wash petition that we looked at.
I actually think the better location would be on the northwest corner. So if you look at your drawing, right here, that way people could pull in, use the ATM and continue as the right of way through. And that would flow much better than this here.
Yeah, the issue there might be
Because right
though-
here, this
Oh, I
this space here is not utilized as
Yeah.
heavily.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is not design it, but and I think the notion that the concerns about proximity to the
Right.
curb cut, as Director Grill mentioned, and some of the other concerns are good ones that we need experts to come back and say this is what we think based on doing an analysis. The other thing I would wonder is this is eliminating parking places, so is there, and I have to apologize, I didn't thoroughly go into everything, but is there a calculation being shown that all the parking requirements are still being met, there is excess parking and it can be taken away?
That was one of the requests in the traffic study.
Okay, so that's gonna be validated in that as well. Yeah, you can eliminate these spots and it's just fine because, okay, great, because parking lot isn't always full, there's a lot of times, but
These spaces are used often for the for sale by owner cars.
I realize that, but then there are other times where it's completely full.
Yeah, the VFW's got stuff going on.
Yeah, so
and
it's,
around a holiday.
I
It's a
wonder
busy
about that.
parking lot.
It is, and peak, off peak, I have no idea for a cash machine when the peak, off peak is. So that's all will be answered by that traffic study, which I think is really good. But is there anything else besides that, because I guess in my mind, we're unfortunately probably heading to a continuance. But I also, if we have the opportunity to take a look at it and see if there's anything else that you all would want
Well,
to see coming back, this is an opportunity
Well,
to do that. And
landscaping would be the other thing, but I don't think you can really.
there you go. So go ahead and, what are your thoughts on that?
Again, it would see something. Because it's right. It's an ordinance, or is it something we just asked for? Is it?
Well, he's talking about landscaping. We have a parking lot that's obviously been grandfathered in
Right.
with no landscaping. If it were to be built today, it would have to meet our landscaping ordinance.
It is along St.
But
Charles Road.
Is that something that could be considered? Because it's right along St. Charles Road, it's an improvement there. Could that be part of the mix? I think we would be interested in seeing some green space and landscaping along with this design. even if it meant losing a parking place or two more?
My thoughts were, that was my question slash comment, was very similar, in that there's no landscaping in the parking lot, obviously. And it's right across the street from City Hall, Village Hall.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't know, I'm not going to design it, but there is an opportunity to
Yeah.
buffer, at least at a low level,
Sure.
that from the sidewalk in
another-
St.
I see.
Charles.
Look at how nice that is.
I think down here, someone said, if the parking counts done in the traffic study show that it's feasible, I'm in the same mind that I would lose a couple of parking spaces
Yes.
to see some green space.
Yes.
It's absolutely no problem.
Yeah.
TCF actually, they want to do it, they want to do
Yeah.
it small.
Because we look at this picture at another site and we go, yeah, trees in the parking lot. And I know that's getting outside the scope.
They do want that, so they want to look good just as well as
All right.
we want to look good here.
Right, and so that's,
Yeah.
you know, this is consistent with what we do when we see a new improvement in an existing non-conforming situation. We're always looking to see that we're moving along, so. Otherwise, aesthetically, I think that what the proposal is for the actual unit,
I don't have any issues.
I don't
with
have any
that.
issues with it either. It seems to be, you know, I think it would tie in nice.
The area that's drawn, I don't know how to show, but St. Charles Road's here. It shows two areas that kind of direct traffic.
Mm-hmm.
What's that gonna be? Is that gonna be ground, or is it gonna be dirt? Or we could put landscape? Oh, okay.
So I think the idea
That would
here
be
is that
curbing
we,
with
we
the
make the
landscape.
suggestion and the designers come back to us with a response.
The reason why we want curving, we want striping, is just for showing.
Yeah.
When you have the big curves, they get
I hear you.
damaged and they just get hacked up.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't look good.
And it looks like lighting is being handled by the unit itself.
Yes.
Great. Anything else? Anyone have a question or comment about?
No, I mean, it looks like Jules' existing signage kind of puts a damper on some of the design ideas along there.
Yeah, it sure does. But again, let's see what they can do. I mean, you got to get the traffic study, and maybe there's adjustments that have to be made based on that. But again, for me, it's going to be the same thing. We need that traffic study because we've got to be able to turn it over to the village board with, we've done our job as a group and we've looked at it all, and especially when staff's recommending it, and we would too on something like this. There's a lot of questions that we can't answer. We need an expert to stand up and say, yep, this is what's, and then we can go from there. But if in that process you can also take a look at landscaping, we'd appreciate that.
On related to a recent hearing we had, traffic study, we requested a traffic study and they actually improved the overall project. Even the developer admitted that when they were done with it, it was better, more efficient, safer than what they had come in with initially. So that's the end goal of
That's
that.
the end goal, right. But so I think consensus here is that, if we have a traffic study with recommendations and indicating, a course of action and a plan that follows that, we would be consensus, everyone conceptually in favor for this, and any
I would be.
okay.
Yes.
So that, again, that would kind of be the consensus up here, is that we would be making a motion to, and again, make a recommendation to the village board to approve this, but we need the traffic study to back this up on that. So, if there's not any other discussion or questions or comments, anything else that you want to add, at this point, then, we could have a motion to continue, and we would be doing it again till next month. So it'd be a similar motion as to the motion that, okay, to next month. And, what do you need?
I would like to make a motion to continue petition PZ 160007 to a date certain of November 10th, 2016.
Motion, is there a second? Second, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion as read? By roll call, Commissioner Bello,
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jarrett,
Yes.
Orlowski,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and I too vote yes. Thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
All right. So the next order of business is to go through our rest of our agenda here. And the first thing is upcoming public hearings, none. We may have two.
Well, we have to.
We may have two.
And I did speak to two representatives from Delphi Academy about potentially locating a Delphi Academy school here at Villa Park. I explained that it would require a special use. I gave them the application and told them when they were ready to talk
Okay.
further, we'd be happy to assist them.
Is there, I know that we've done this a long time in the past, is there a benefit to that user, that owner, to have a discussion? We've done kind of these little offline, not offline, but, a couple members of the planning zoning with building and just to kind of talk through. If there's any benefit to that, I'm sure there'd be people on this commission that would volunteer to do that. We've done that before.
Right,
Okay.
and we do have
Good.
a mechanism in place for the plan review hearing. If something comes up and they want to discuss prior to
That's-
formalizing things.
Yeah.
Well, I told them, because they were looking for an existing space, and I informed them that we would do a courtesy inspection, particularly with
Great.
the fire department,
Excellent.
to make sure they knew what requirements were going to be necessary if they were going to locate there.
That's great. Yeah, so I just wanted, and I'm sure everybody, depending on who's available, any one of us would be.
Okay.
And we've done it before, where we've sat down and, in a structured manner with obviously staff, but just to help, petitioners out to feel some comfort level as they're investing dollars. So, okay.
Excellent.
All right, good. That sounds exciting. Briefing on village board actions and related matters.
Yes, Monday evening, there was a public hearing for a potential SSA at North Avenue Townhomes.
Okay.
As many of you might be aware, it is a property maintenance and police issue up at North Avenue Townhomes. It is a private development. It is up to each individual owner to be responsible for their property. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of absentee landlords up there, and they don't pay a lot of attention to their units. And what has happened, it's just they've not been good stewards of their property, and the property maintenance has suffered because of it. And it has gotten to a point where staff does not believe that the existing ownership platform up there is being effective enough. And we still get lots of calls for service, and we still write quite a few property maintenance violations. So staff has come up with the SSA proposal to try to take care of some of the more significant problems that exist up there, and then they would get paid for through the collection of additional special service area taxes paid by the owners of that particular situation. Approximately 26 people attended that meeting. There were probably 12 or 15 who indicated that they were opposed to the creation of the SSA, but conversely, there were 5 or 6 who actually said they were actually for the creation of the SSA. The remaining people had not made up their mind as to whether or not they wanted to support it or not support it, but they were there just to get more information.
So who has to agree, I guess? Who has to vote, or what's the mechanism for that? And
Well, in order to create an SSA, following the public hearing,
Before he goes on, for anyone that's watching, if you could define what an SSA is.
an SSA is a special service area. There is a procedure outlined in state statute to create an area where improvements that are beneficial to the entire ownership or area can make those improvements through the collection of additional taxes that pay for those specific improvements. And then once the improvements are done, then the SSA can dissolve. In this particular instance, the village is asking for a $1.6 million SSA, and it would go to improve, in particular, the back alley area, a drainage system, landscaping, garbage, and fencing. Now, once the public hearing ended on Monday night, the owners in that area have a 60-day period for which to file any specific objection.
Okay.
If more than 50% or 51% or more of the owners or registered voters object to it, then it can't go forward. If that threshold is not met, then it comes to the village board to consider approval of that SSA.
Okay.
And then it would go to the county, we'd file it with the county, and then it would be on the following year's taxes. We're looking at...
So based on your summary, it's up to the village. Ultimately, it could be up to the village board to decide. The owners themselves don't have to agree. If they all disagree, more than 50% disagree,
If more than 51% disagree and they file their objection within 60 days, then it goes no further.
so okay.
It just dies.
It just dies.
Yep.
So then what's the recourse? Because there's like, isn't there properties that have damage that, besides even the $1.6 million identified in
Yes.
alley and everything else?
Yes.
Yeah, but didn't,
Well, the village has already invested quite a significant sum on that area. Last year, the village rebuilt the lift station.
that was over 300,000.
Yes. Most of that, though, was a CDBG grant.
Okay.
So,
Community Development Block Grant
Yes.
was received, but really that was a work on a private piece of property.
they deeded the lift station to the village
Okay.
in order to qualify for the CDBG funding.
Okay. So what was private was deeded over, village got the block grant, fixed that system.
Correct. In addition, the village just got done installing lights, and we are waiting on ComEd to energize those lights. Additionally, there will be cameras on those lights for additional security. If the threshold is met, if more than 51% of the people submit objections to it and it dies, it is staff's intent to become more aggressive with code enforcement up there and ask the hearing officer for stiffer fines. It just becomes a situation where the village is just going to issue many, many, many citations and ask for very heavy fines for the people who don't comply. That's our recourse.
I heard Monday that there's going to be cameras, and you just said that again. Who's going to be monitoring those?
The police department.
Oh.
So there's some absentee landlords up there,
Several.
and you think any of them are going to take the time to step up and oppose this?
Well, I do know, like I said, there were approximately 12 to 15 who indicated they were going to object, and many of them spoke in opposition to the SSA at the public hearing on Monday night.
Guess we'll see.
Okay. Well, keep us up to date on what happens with that, but I think I appreciate staff and the board taking some initiative to try to resolve a situation that
Languished.
has languished. Yes. So I guess that's what my feeling is I'm appreciative of that. Okay.
In addition, the Chipotle, the Firehouse Subs, and the Dunkin' Donuts are all open up at North Park Plaza. And we have had discussions, and we are waiting a submittal from Wendy's in front of Foreman Mills. If you recall, you approved a PUD up there that did include an outlot
Right.
for a restaurant of some type. They will have to come before P&Z just on a advisory type of basis, and then go to the village board for the approval of a final PUD for that, what was known as Lot C in the North
Okay.
Park Plaza. And then additionally, there is a building that is under construction right now at the northeast corner of Harvard and North Avenue. Half of it is going to be a Pet Supplies Plus, and the tenant for the other half of the building is not determined yet.
Great, great. Okay, thank you. Any commissioner comments? No commissioner comments. Adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. We're adjourned. Thank you.